He picked up the rusty sword, not knowing that he was now considered the long-lost emperor. The sword lay half-buried in the ruins, rusted and forgotten. Edrin had never meant to find it. He was just a scavenger, a nobody, wandering the broken temples of the old empire in search of trinkets to sell in the markets. But when his hand closed around the hilt, the world seemed to hold its breath. The air shimmered. Symbols carved into the stones flickered to life. The earth trembled beneath his boots. And far away, across mountains and cities, bells that hadn't rung in centuries began to toll. The rusty sword. Edrin staggered back, nearly dropping the blade. What in the void? It wasn't beautiful. Far from it. The sword was cracked, its edge dull, its surface corroded with age. It looked more like scrap than a weapon. But as he held it, he felt something. A weight. A presence. Like unseen eyes turning toward him. The ground beneath the temple split, revealing golden runes spiraling outward from where the blade had rested. They pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. "Impossible," Edrin whispered. "The awakening." By nightfall, the Empire knew. Messengers galloped across roads long abandoned. Watchtowers flared to life with beacons that hadn't burned in generations. "The Emperor has returned," voices cried in villages and cities alike. "The blade of Aurelian has awakened." Edrin, of course, knew nothing of this. He just knew he needed to run. Because already, figures cloaked in black were descending on the ruins, drawn by the same pulse of power that now throbbed in his hand. The pursuit. He fled through the night, clutching the rusty sword. But no matter how far he ran, the blade seemed to hum in his grip, a beacon for anyone seeking it. 3 riders caught up to him in the woods. Their eyes glowed faintly, their voices whispering in unison. "Return the Emperor's blade." "I'm not an emperor," Edrin shouted, swinging wildly. The sword cleaved the air, and to his shock, a surge of light erupted from it, blasting the riders back. For a heartbeat, silence. Then the forest itself bowed. The trees bent, the wind stilled. The sword was no longer dormant. It had chosen. The prophecy. By dawn, he stumbled into a hermit's cottage, desperate for answers. The old woman who lived there froze when she saw the blade. "Where did you find it?" she whispered. "In the ruins," Edrin said. "I didn't mean to take it." "You don't understand." Her eyes shone with both fear and awe. "That is the blade of Aurelian. For 500 years, it has awaited its master. The empire fell into ruin because the emperor vanished. But prophecy spoke of his bloodline returning, marked by the sword itself." Edrin shook his head violently. "No. I'm no emperor. I'm nobody." "Then why," she asked softly, "does the blade sing in your hands?" "The rebellion." Word spread faster than fire. By the time Edrin reached the next city, rebels loyal to the old empire had already gathered in the streets. They knelt when they saw the sword, tears in their eyes. "Our emperor has returned," they cried. Edrin wanted to scream at them, to tell them they were wrong. But the sword pulsed, glowing faintly, and wherever he went, the people bowed. Not everyone welcomed him. The dominion that had replaced the empire declared him a pretender, a fraud. Assassins came in the night. Armies marched to capture him. And each time, when he raised the rusty blade, it roared with the fury of ages, scattering his enemies like leaves in a storm. The choice. He sat one night by a dying fire, staring at the sword across his knees. It was still cracked, still rusted. But in its presence, he felt the weight of generations pressing down. "I never wanted this," he whispered. "You didn't choose me," a voice rumbled from the blade, ancient and deep. "I chose you." Edrin froze. "You can speak." "I am no mere weapon," the voice said. "I am the soul of emperors. Your blood carries their line. Take up the throne, or watch the world burn under tyrants." He clenched his fists. "I'm not fit to rule." "Neither were those before you," the voice replied. "But they learned. And so will you." The Battle of Crowns. The Dominion struck at dawn, their armies surrounding the rebel camp. Thousands against hundreds. Edrin stood at the front, the sword humming in his hand. His knees shook, but he raised it high. "People of the Empire," he shouted, voice breaking, "I am no emperor. I am a scavenger, a fool, a man who never asked for this. But if you'll fight beside me, if you'll fight for your freedom, I will not run." A cheer thundered through the camp. The Dominion charged, and the rusty sword blazed with light, its cracks glowing molten gold. The blade that looked broken became whole again in his grasp. With one swing, Edrin carved a path through the enemy ranks, the very earth trembling beneath his strikes. By sunset, the Dominion fled, and the people chanted a name he could no longer deny. Emperor! 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 Epilogue. In the great capital, the long-dead bells rang once more. The throne of Aurelian, empty for centuries, awaited its master. Edrin stood before it, the sword gleaming at his side. He still felt like a fraud, a scavenger dressed in a crown's shadow. But when he looked into the eyes of the people, he no longer saw doubt. He saw hope. And so, with a steady breath, he sat upon the throne. Not because he believed himself worthy, but because the world needed someone who would never run again. The rusty sword pulsed once, then whispered in his mind, "Welcome home, Emperor."